You're standing in the office kitchen, waiting for the microwave, and you feel it coming. A coworker walks in. Small talk. 2 words that make some people want to disappear into the wall. There's that half second where your brain reaches for something to say and comes back with nothing but static. So you stare at the microwave like it owes you money, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a familiar voice says, "You're just bad at this." If that feeling hits you regularly, and for a lot of people it does, especially if you lean introverted or carry any kind of social anxiety around work interactions, I want to take that voice apart right now because it's wrong. You're not bad at small talk. You've been trying to be good at it. And being good at small talk was never the assignment. Here's what most advice gets wrong. It treats small talk like a skill you're supposed to master. Be witty, be warm, be effortlessly charming, light up the room. And if that's the bar, of course you feel like you're failing, because that bar is exhausting, and most of the people who seem to clear it are running on a kind of social autopilot you don't have. But here's the thing they won't tell you. You don't need that autopilot. You need something much smaller and much more achievable. You need to get through these moments cheaply, without them draining your whole afternoon, and then get back to your actual work and your actual energy. So today, I'm not going to teach you to be good at small talk. I'm going to do something more useful. I'm going to give you permission to be bad at it, and then hand you the exact conversation starters and scripts to use anyway for the specific moments at work that catch you off guard. The kitchen, the hallway, Monday morning, the 2 minutes before a meeting, word for word. By the end, you'll have a handful of lines you can reuse forever and a completely different relationship with the whole thing. Let's start with the mindset, because if you skip this part, the scripts won't stick. Reframe number 1. Small talk is not a test. It's a toll. Nobody is grading your performance at the coffee machine. The exchange exists to do one tiny job, to send a quick signal that says, "I see you, we're on fine terms, I'm not a problem," and then to be over. Linguists actually have a name for this. They call it phatic communication, exchanges that aren't really about information, they're about social maintenance, pure signal. When a coworker asks how your weekend was, they are not requesting a report. They're paying a small social toll, and they're waiting for you to pay it back so you can both move on. That's it. You're not being evaluated. You're paying a toll, and the cheapest toll that gets you through the gate is the correct one, which leads to your first permission. You are allowed to be boring. This is enormous, so sit with it. You do not need an interesting answer. "It was pretty quiet. Nothing exciting" is a perfect response to "How was your weekend?" You don't need a story, a hook, or a charming detail. In fact, the boring answer is often the most fluent one, because it signals, "I know how this works, I'm just sending the signal back." When you feel the pressure to be interesting, remember, the people who are genuinely good at this say boring things constantly. The weather, traffic, the coffee. Boring is not the failure mode. Boring is the native language. Your second permission, you are allowed to keep it short. Small talk is supposed to be short. Ending a hallway exchange after 15 seconds is not abrupt or rude. It's exactly correct. The fear that you'll get trapped, that once you start, you won't be able to stop, is what keeps a lot of people from saying anything at all. So lock this in. You can end one of these whenever you want, and you'll never be the only one relieved it's over. And your third permission, the one I most want you to hear. You are allowed to opt out. Not every moment requires you to engage. A warm nod and a smile as you pass someone is a complete, successful interaction. If you've had a brutal day and you've got nothing left, you do not owe the break room your remaining energy. Choosing your moments isn't antisocial. It's how you make sure that when you do engage, you've actually got something in the tank. And here's why all 3 permissions matter so much, beyond just making you feel better. Trying to be good at small talk is expensive, There's a concept in psychology called cognitive load. Basically, the mental bandwidth your brain has available at any given moment. When you're monitoring your face, scripting 3 replies ahead, scanning for whether you're being interesting enough, and quietly performing a version of yourself that isn't quite you, you are maxing out that cognitive load. And doing all of that all day is how you end up wrung out by 2 in the afternoon with nothing left for the work that actually matters. People sometimes call this masking, spending energy to manage how you're presenting socially when it doesn't come naturally. And it is genuinely exhausting in a way that's physiological, not a personal weakness. That effort is the cost. So when you lower the bar from be impressive to pay the toll and move on, you're not settling. You're cutting your biggest hidden expense. The new bar is simply this: did the moment end without anyone feeling slighted? If yes, you nailed it. That's a win. Recalibrate to that, and small talk goes from a thing you brace for to a thing you barely notice. Okay, with those 3 permissions in your pocket, the scripts get easy, because now you're not performing. Let me give you a tiny toolkit first, then we'll run the actual moments. The whole toolkit is basically 3 moves. Move 1, the boring but true answer, 1 small real detail, nothing more. Move 2, the bounce back. After you answer, you send the same question right back, because reusing their question is the laziest, most effective trick there is. How was yours? Does an astonishing amount of work. And move 3, the exit line, a short, friendly closer you keep ready at all times, so you always know how to leave. That's the entire kit. Boring answer, bounce back, exit. Now watch how those 3 moves cover almost every situation you'll actually face. First moment, the kitchen or coffee station. Brutal, because you're stuck in a small space with nothing to do but acknowledge each other. There's no question here, just proximity demanding a signal. So give it the cheapest possible one, an observation about the room you're both standing in. Morning, is the good coffee already gone? Or just, these mugs multiply overnight, I swear. You are not being clever, and you don't need to be. And the exit is built right in. When your coffee's done, all right, back to it, have a good one. And you walk. The task ends the conversation for you, which means you never have to figure out how to escape. Second moment, the hallway or elevator pass by. The rule here is the opposite of the kitchen. Go even smaller, because there's a hard time limit. Don't start anything you can't finish in 8 seconds. A nod and hey, how's it going as you keep walking is a complete interaction. You don't even have to stop. Trapped in an elevator together? 1 line covers it. How's your week going? And then you're allowed to let the silence sit, because elevator silence is universal and nobody expects a real conversation in a metal box. Doors open. Have a good one. Gone. You will never see most of these moments again. They don't need to be good. They need to be over, and they will be. Third moment. How was your weekend? On Monday. The single most predictable question in office history, which means you can have your answer loaded before you even walk in the door. Preload it. You need 1 true, low-stakes detail and a bounce back. It was good. Just caught up on stuff around the house. How was yours? That's it. Stuff around the house is deliberately vague and completely acceptable. If you did 1 specific thing, name it. Pretty good. Went for a long walk Saturday. You? 1 detail, 1 bounce back, done. Same move every single Monday, forever. Fourth moment. The 2 minutes before a meeting starts. The one a lot of people dread most. Trapped in a room, meeting hasn't begun, and the silence feels like it's somehow your job to fill. It isn't. But if you want a line ready, the safest topic is the work itself. Did you get a chance to look at the deck? Or, how's your week looking? Slammed. Both are easy. Both let the other person carry the load. And if someone's already talking, you don't have to invent anything. Just catch their ball. They say, traffic was insane this morning. You say, yeah, Took me 40 minutes to go 3 miles. You've participated. You're off the hook. Fifth moment. Any plans this weekend? On a Friday. The Monday question's twin, preloaded the same way. You do not need impressive plans. Nothing major, probably just recharging. How about you? Is perfect. Got an actual plan? Name one. Might finally catch up on a show I've been meaning to watch. You? And resist the urge to explain that your plans are tentative, or to list the maybes. The accurate version lives in your head. The small talk version is one line and a bounce back. Sixth moment. The forced social event, the team lunch, the after-work thing, the birthday gathering in the break room. These drain a lot of people, so here's your plan and your permission together. Arrive, find 1 or 2 people, ask them a genuine, easy question, and let them talk. People remember being listened to far more than they remember whether you were funny. Active listening, just being genuinely present while someone else speaks, is one of the highest value social skills in any workplace, and it costs you almost nothing. How long have you been on this team? Or, what were you working on before this? Hands them the floor and does the rapport building work for you, and you are allowed to leave early. I'm going to head out, but this was nice. Thanks for putting it together, is a clean, complete exit that nobody will think twice about. And for the remote workers, the video call waiting room, those 30 seconds before everyone joins. You don't have to perform here either. Hey, happy Wednesday, in the chat covers it. Or comment on the one shared thing you've got. Can everyone hear me okay? And on a video call, you're always allowed to be the person who says, should we get started? That's not rude. That's the most appreciated sentence in remote work. 2 more that catch people off guard. First, the focus interrupter. Someone wanders over to chat right when you're deep in something and your brain is fully loaded. You're allowed to protect that focus, kindly. You don't have to pretend you're free. Hey, I'm right in the middle of something. Can I find you in 20? Is warm, honest, and completely normal. If they just want a quick answer, give it and gently close. Got it. Let me get this done and I'll come grab you. You're not being cold. You're managing your attention, and most people respect it instantly. Second, the end-of-day departure, the little ritual of leaving. You don't have to slip out silently, and you don't have to make rounds either. One line, aimed at whoever's nearby, does it. All right, I'm heading out. Have a good night. If someone's clearly mid-task and heads down, a quiet wave is plenty. And if you're the type who agonizes over whether to say goodbye to the whole room, here's your rule. Acknowledge the 1 or 2 people closest to you and leave. Nobody is keeping score on your exit. Now, a few quick recoveries because sometimes it won't go to plan, and that's genuinely fine. When you blank, buy time out loud. Oh, good question. Let me think. Real humans say this constantly. It gives your brain a second to load. When you catch yourself going long on something you're into, and you'll feel it, that flicker when they go quiet, don't panic and don't apologize. Just land the plane. Anyway, that's probably more than you needed on that. What are you working on? Hand the floor back. People almost never hold an info dump against someone who notices and pivots kindly. When they ask something too personal, deflect without lying. Oh, nothing too exciting, fits almost anything. You never owe anyone the real answer to a small talk question. When there's silence, let it sit. 2 people near each other not talking is a normal thing that happens all day long. You are not required to rescue every quiet moment. And on the day you've got nothing left, when you've been masking since 8 a.m., running on empty, actively managing every social signal you put out, use permission number 3. Smile, nod, keep walking. You can skip the break room. You can eat lunch at your desk. Protecting your energy isn't a character flaw. It's the thing that lets you show up tomorrow. So here's where I'll leave you. You don't have to become someone who loves small talk or who's good at it. or who lights up a room. You were never supposed to. The real goal is so much smaller and so much kinder than that. Pay the toll cheaply, keep a few lines ready, and let yourself stop, or skip it entirely, without guilt. Before your next workday, do one thing. Pick 3 lines you heard today, maybe your Monday weekend answer, 1 kitchen line, and 1 exit, and say them out loud a couple of times so they're loaded. That's the whole assignment. Not to be charming, just to not be caught flat-footed at that microwave. And the next time someone walks in while you're waiting, you won't be reaching for static anymore. You'll have a line ready, you'll pay the toll, and you'll get back to your day, which is all small talk ever actually asked of you.